Welcome to my channel. Today I decided to try something a little different. I tried to build my old high school. So I live in the UK, so this is a build of a UK secondary school. Now you might be able to tell, I've had to use a speech generator because my throat is hurting so bad. I wanted to get this video up and it's on the longer side, so it was my only option. It was a lot harder than I expected. So I left high school, wow, nearly 10 years ago now, so I'm sure it's changed. Even when I was there they added new rooms and buildings, but I tried to build it from my first years there and what I could remember. Now I used the biggest lot I could find, but it was nowhere near big enough. Maybe if I'd have made the rooms smaller I might have been able to fit the whole building on, but I still doubt it. So I started with the front of the high school towards the right side. So in my first few years, this room was an IT room and then it got changed into a product design room when I was in year 10. So with this room I did make it into the product design room as I spent more time in here in year 10 and 11 than I did in my first 3 years. So basically, the computers were kept all along the outside of the walls and in the middle they're used to more computers, but then it got changed to just a big table. And then there are 3 doors leading out of this room, one to the outside, one into another computer room and the last to the product design room where we build things and spray painted. I remember in my first few years we used to have to queue outside to get into the room because for some reason they wouldn't let us use the actual corridor to get into the room. I added quite a lot of custom content in this build to make it more realistic. There wasn't a lot of objects I could find useful in the base game. So, I think how this video is going to go, is I'm going to keep cutting in and out of talking, or the generator is. The video is longer than my usual videos and this thing talks fast and it might be annoying for some of you. So, here I move on to another section of rooms. These were the religious studies rooms. Now I can't remember if anything ever changed in this section. I spent the first 3 years in the same room and never went into the little back corridor then you'll see me build. And then my final 2 years my class was in the one to the right. There was a little chapel type room in the back of the building, so I just added some clutter and chairs in there. I wanted to add a cross, but I couldn't find any custom content specific for that room. In the classrooms I added the teachers' desks, with a computer and table and chairs for the students. I did this in every classroom around the school and found some cute custom content objects, like pencil cases, pencils, sheets of paper, textbooks and more.
So, as you might be able to tell, I've had to change the voice. Please throat get better soon. Then I move on to the sports hall section of the school. So this gate that I built here wasn't there in my first 3 years. The school was basically accessible by anyone. Anyone could get in. And then the head teacher left, another one came and didn't last 2 minutes, and then there was finally one who stayed. He got loads of gates built around the whole school, like there were no gates at all before these were built. And I remember this gate that you can see I've built had a voice box thing on it, and you had to talk to the secretaries and they'd let you in. And when I was there, I don't know if it's any different now, but when I had PE, they'd make up walk the whole way around even though there were steps to get into the exact same place. But the teachers used to say that it was just for the teachers.
And anyway, so after PE, we'd have to walk the whole way around again, unless we managed to sneak to the stairs. And the secretary would take ages to let us in. You could tell they hated it in their voices. I'm sure sometimes they did it on purpose to act like they were too busy to push a button, like 11 to 15-year-old cared. So I wonder if that's changed at all since I've left. So, anyway, back to the build. This section, I made the door that the students had to queue at to get in. A little office that the staff sat in and watched the students get wet through before letting them in. Then there is 2 changing rooms, one for the girls, one for the boys. We also had showers in here and a disabled toilet in the girls. I'm guessing it was the same for the boys, but I couldn't fit them in. There was toilets across from the changing rooms. One for boys and one for girls. And then we had the gym towards the back with connected to main part of the school. The big sports hall and a little corridor behind the hall. Where I put the stairs, in reality, it was normal stairs, but they were very narrow, and the Sims stairs are so long. Not many people actually knew this room was there. I did dance, and this is where we'd go sometimes to do work. Behind the changing rooms and next to the office, we had a massive astroturf and a massive field where we'd do PE, but I couldn't fit this in. Then I move on to the main hall. So we had the big hall where we'd eat and have presentations. There was a big stage at the back of the hall, and you could go behind the stage. Behind the stage there was a door that led into some kind of office part. I think in my whole 5 years, I only walked through that bit maybe 3 times. Students weren't allowed through that part at all except when we had out dance exams. I remember seeing tables and chairs in there, so just predicted that other people worked in those offices. It was bigger than I made it, but I couldn't fit it in. There was also a pond to the right of the hall, but I didn't have room to build it. This is where it got difficult to build, and I realized I wouldn't be able to build all of the school. I had to miss out all of the science classrooms, upstairs maths rooms and geography rooms. I had to change it up a little bit to try and get it to look similar. back over the rooms next to the gym. These were language classrooms. When I first started school, I was given French as subject. The school also did German, but we didn't get to choose. Although, when we got to year 10, we could choose to do a language as a GCSE. We could swap languages if we wanted to, but I didn't see the point of that. Let me know in the comments what your school did if you had language classes.
Next, I go back to the hall. So the part of the hall connecting to the kitchen was an all-open wall. There were large windows all along the walls. I think this might have changed now. I saw a picture a few years ago and I now think there's a corridor been built between the two glass doors. So instead of having to go outside, you can walk straight across the corridor. Then I tried to make the cafeteria part. So there was lots of tables and chairs in this section and the food part. Looking back, I should have used the cake stands, but I didn't think at the time. Behind this part, I'm guessing that there were kitchens and storage rooms. I never saw what was behind this part. I used more custom content in these parts to show storage items and food storage.
Then I move on to the office and main entry of the school. So the office didn't connect straight to the hall, there was a little space in between, and there was also the head teacher's office towards the right, but I couldn't sit all of that in. I tried to make the entry point of the school and an office with a window to allow visitors to check in. Then I made the second office where the students would talk to the secretaries and where they did all of the admin. I also added some toilets here for the staff, as I'm guessing there were some kind of toilets in these offices. Then I move on to the upstairs of the school. I start with the library of the school. The upstairs was the hardest to build because the layout wasn't correct on the bottom as I didn't have enough space. The library consisted of lots of computers and bookcases and little places to sit and read. Behind the library was a massive room full of chairs and whiteboards. I used to do a class learning about finance, but it only lasted a year. And then behind this room was another room, so I just put in some tables and chairs. Then I move on to the staff room. I only ever went into the staff room once when the fire alarm went off, as there were stairs in the staff room that led straight into the main entrance into the back offices. I assumed that there was some sort of kitchen space in the office, so I made a little kitchen area. I then move on to the art and food tech rooms. In the school there was an art room for 3D art and 2D art. I wanted to add shelves of art, but I can't find much custom content. So I continue to make some classrooms, and that's it really. I'm going to stop with the talking now as I've had to use 10,384 voices. So thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments.